The death toll continues to rise in Texas after catastrophic flash flooding this weekend, and the urgent search continues for several who are still missing. Many are children who were spending the 4th of July at a summer camp. Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed a federal disaster declaration and added 6 more counties to expand assistance to other hard-hit areas. Search crews in Texas continue to comb through debris tonight after that flooding swept through communities along the Guadalupe River. CBS's Jason Allen has been following the search and rescue recovery efforts from the air and on the ground. He's reporting from Hunt, Texas.
We're up above the Guadalupe River. This is in Hunt, Texas. And when you look down below, this is the kind of area that the search and rescue teams are having to move up and down, right? And they are looking for all of that debris that is down in the bottom. But from up here on the riverbanks, boy, do you get really this scale of how high these floodwaters were. Look, there are cars up here. This is, again, probably 30, maybe 40 feet above the river where we were, and we'll swing around to the other side here. There's more piles of cars that search teams have been through, that they have checked, they have looked to make sure nobody is inside. And in some of these places, we already know, in fact, on this property, there's some concern that the people here were not able to get away. The gentleman whose family owns this house told us that his sister and her husband and their friends were staying here. They believe that the friends were able to get across the street, but still today, he is here and has been looking for his sister and his brother-in-law. Jason Allen, CBS News in Hunt, Texas.
Also developing tonight, we've learned the identity of the man who drowned last night in Beaver Lake. It happened on the west side of the lake near Rogers. The Benton County Sheriff's Office identified the victim as 78-year-old Frederick Lear. Investigators believe the drowning happened after he fell off his boat dock. No other details about what happened were provided. We'll continue following developments and keep you updated on 5newsonline.com. Tonight, the city of Roland is supporting victims of a firework explosion in Tuskahoma that injured 5 people on Wednesday. 5 News reporter Claire Eberbach shows us how city leaders turned their 4th of July festival into a community fundraiser.
After 5 people were injured in an explosion on Wednesday, Roland city leaders made a quick shift in their plans.
So instead of just canceling the event, we decided to go from a festival to a community benefit.
This time of year, the city would normally be overseeing their annual Iron Mountain Festival, known for family fun and, of course, fireworks. But this year, that tradition took on a new purpose. Roland Chamber of Commerce President Cody Click says after hearing of the explosion, they knew they had to help.
So we just decided this year, we're blessed as a chamber that we can still afford to do the things we normally do, but this year we can take that money and give it to those.
The event brought together 46 different vendors from around the area, selling food, accessories, crafts, and raffles. And 100% of the proceeds will go toward helping the victims of the July 2nd fireworks explosion. Click says it's moments like this that show just how strong the community is and that everyone is there to support each other.
It shows when something happens to one of us, we're there. I think it's good that people know that your chamber, your town has your back.
We're also hearing exclusively tonight from the wife of one of the firefighters who was injured in the incident. Talisha Llewellyn's husband, Brad, is a firefighter at Camp Gruber and was helping make a delivery of fireworks at a Choctaw Nation building in Tuskahoma. She says she feels her husband is lucky to have survived, and she expects skin graft surgeries will become the norm for a while.
We'll be having twice-a-week surgeries for about 4 weeks. So we're hanging in there, and he really is a fighter. He's a strong man. That's all they kept saying when they brought him in was he has a lot of muscles. Like he's fit. I was like, yeah, he really is. So that's helping him out a lot, probably more so than what we ever thought it would.
You can view much more of 5 News anchor Darren Bob's interview with Talisha on our website, 5newsonline.com. A battle is brewing over your right to vote on citizen-led amendments in Arkansas. State Attorney General Tim Griffin has now rejected a second attempt by a group trying to protect that process, all because of a new law that just took effect. It requires all ballot titles to be written at an 8th grade reading level so all voters can understand it clearly. Protect Arkansas's Rights is the group behind the effort. They're also challenging the law in court and say they also plan to rework the language and submit it to the Attorney General a third time.
They've passed many laws, dozens of laws, saying that your ballot title has to have this component or has to read in this specific way. And so it's kind of their own fault that this process is so complicated. It's pretty difficult to propose a constitutional amendment without using the word constitution, which has a lot of syllables. And so it's very difficult to meet that 8th grade reading level standard.
The Secretary of State's office also released a statement on the matter, saying they have full faith in the judgment of the Attorney General and his legal team. The effort is one of 2 to add new protections to Arkansas's ballot initiative process. The League of Women Voters are now gathering signatures on their proposed constitutional amendment. The Attorney General signed off on the ballot language after rejecting it over ambiguities in the text and in issues with the reading level. According to the League of Women Voters, the goal is to restore Arkansans' constitutional right to direct democracy by preventing legislative interference, streamlining legal reviews, and simplifying the citizen-led petition process. You can find details and follow updates on both ballot initiative efforts on our website, 5newsonline.com. The deadline is fast approaching for countries to make new tariff agreements with the U.S. or face a higher rate, and the Trump administration is putting them on notice. Willie James Inman is traveling with the president and joins us from Bridgewater, New Jersey.
This weekend, President Trump is celebrating the first major piece of legislation for his second term.
It's really promises made, promises kept, and we've kept them. This is a triumph of democracy on the birthday of democracy.
The Friday signing ceremony was part of a 4th of July event at the White House, complete with a military jet flyover. The new law includes several campaign promises, such as no taxes on tips, an extension of the 2017 Trump tax cuts, and more funding for the military and border security. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act will also permanently raise the child tax credit to $2,200 and increase the state and local tax deduction to $40,000 for 5 years. Democrats have blasted the legislation for making cuts to food stamps and Medicaid. And now, as the White House turns to trade, they're also taking aim at the president's tariff policies.
The Trump administration, these across-the-board tariffs are going to hit Americans hard.
The president set a July 9th deadline for dozens of nations to make a deal with the U.S. or risk higher tariffs. Now the president says multiple nations could receive notice of new tariff rates early next week, which would go into effect in August.
I signed some letters, and they'll go out on Monday, probably 12.
The upcoming deadline leaves little time to negotiate.
You can't sit down with 200 countries. I think the letters are better.
So far, the UK, China, and Vietnam have made significant progress in trade talks with the United States. Now, it's unclear which nations President Trump will send those letters to on Monday. Willie James Inman, CBS News, Bridgewater, New Jersey.
After asking his followers on X if it's time for a new political party, Elon Musk made it official today. He announced he's forming the American Party. The move comes amid a public rift with President Trump over the budget bill he signed into law yesterday. Musk opposes the spending plan and says the new party will challenge lawmakers who backed it.